welcome back. Here is our most awaited video on doubts clarification regarding the MCQs and case studies from CA Final Auditing MCQs and case-based scenarios booklet. Okay, let me just quickly go through the MCQ question, that is question number 50, wherein let me open it. So now. Yeah, this particular question, wherein it was said that the company is incorporated on 15th of February and it has taken a permission to prepare its financial statements for a period of 14 months, right? So the company filed its income tax return both on the 31st of March 31st of March 2020 and 31st of March 2021, wherein the revenue that is earned from the date of incorporation till the date on which it filed its first income tax return is 6 crores, and the next financial year is 50 crores. So many people were asking, why don't we use 3CA for both the financial years? Because this particular company had a turnover of 6 crores, so it is liable for GST audit. Why can't we take 3CA for the first year as well, that is financial year 1920 as well? So the only thing that I want you to notice is the question is nowhere specifying that this particular company has taken registration for GST. So nowhere in the question it has been said that this particular company has taken a registration and GST. And we know that it is mandatory for a company to take registration, and this particular company is incorporated after the effective implementation of GST. But please don't go beyond the question. If the question is speaking about only the Companies Act and the income tax, be confined to the same and answer accordingly. But if this particular question is given in theoretical part, that is where you are being allowed to write your assumptions as well, then you can specify your assumption stating that this particular company has a turnover of 6 crores. It has exceeded the turnover limit of 1 crore under the GST audit. So sorry, it has exceeded the turnover limit under the GST audit. So I'm assuming that this particular company has taken a GST registration and therefore it needs to file 3CA for both the years. So this is particular when this question is given in theoretical part, but since the question is mostly confined to the MCQs in this particular scenario, and in the question it is nowhere mentioned that this particular company is registered under GST, therefore we are not answering in that viewpoint. So the correct option for this question is 3CB for 1920 and 3CA for 2021. I do understand that you had a doubt why this particular company is not taking a registration and why I'm answering you as 3CB for the 1920 financial year. This is not because ICA has given this option. The only thing that I want you to notice is please be confined to the question. Don't think beyond the question, because these are MCQs. You're nowhere allowed to write your assumptions. Okay. Hope this particular query is resolved. This particular question was asked to me by many people. So I thought of rediscussing this point. Let me just consider other query as well, that is case study number 20. Let me just take you through that. Yes, here you go. It has been asked why 20.1 Shivam & Co. LLP, Shivan & Company LLP submitted a list of its assurance and due diligence services in respect of selection of engagement for the peer reviewer. So in this question, it has been given that Shivam & Co. is a large firm and is offering both the assurance engagements. So the only question that was asked to me, whether due diligence and peer review are same. So the only thing is, peer review is an assurance engagements on sample basis. Okay, and due diligence is attestation based engagements. Other engagements should not be reviewed by the peer reviewer. I hope I have answered your query. So other engagements should be, if you are doing a due diligence, then you will be doing engagements that are based on attestation. So whereas peer review is only an assurance engagements on sample basis. Clear. Peer review is only assurance based engagements on sample basis, whereas due diligence is attestation based engagements. Other engagement should not be reviewed by the peer reviewer. Hope you are clear. If you are not clear, please go through the definitions of peer review and due diligence, and you will be getting a clear idea of what is peer review and what is due diligence. So based on this, a peer reviewer may select an engagement on a piecemeal basis, that is on a sample basis, on any service assurance or due diligence. Hope you're clear with this point. And the one more question that was asked to me is loans guaranteed by state government. It is in case study number 3. What is the criteria for an NPA if it is guaranteed by a state government? Let me just quickly take you through that question. Yes, here it is. And this question, this particular company has taken many loans and has been guaranteed by different state governments. See, here it is. This particular company has taken a loans from different banks and different purposes, and they are guaranteed by some of the state governments and some of and the central government as well in few cases. So it has been asked, what is the criteria for NPA for the loans guaranteed by state government? For classifying a loan guaranteed by state government as an NPA is 90 days. If they're overdue for more than 90 days or then it will be classified as an NPA. And this question, 59 agricultural loan accounts amounting to 29 lakhs were overdue for more than 2 years. It means it has exceeded the time period that is being specified by the Reserve Bank of India. And moreover, this is guaranteed by a state government. So this 29 lakhs has to be taken into consideration while calculating NPA for this question. Okay, and the 73 guaranteed by Government of India. So it is a central government. So we are not considering this part. And the sixth question, six corporate loans guaranteed 3 each by the central government and the state government. That is government of India and the government of Delhi, amounting to 25 lakhs each. So 3 each. So we are considering 3 loans were guaranteed by central government and 3 were by state government. So the amount is 25 lakhs each, right? So 3 into 25 is 75 lakhs, and 75 lakhs plus this 29 lakhs, which is coming to 104 lakhs, 104. Therefore, the answer to this question 104 is the correct option. What is the total amount of loans that should be classified as NPA by KD Bank is 104 lakhs. Hope you are clear with this point. And I think with this I have identified all the queries. If not any query, if I have missed, I found only 3 queries. If at any chance, if I have missed any of your doubt, then please comment. I'll be addressing you individually. Okay, that's all. And moreover, I have received a request for making a videos on law MCQs and case based scenarios. I was thinking whether to start with MCQs or case studies. I request you to comment so that I'll be working on it from tomorrow. I'll be waiting for you for for your comments for 24 hours, and from tomorrow maximum by evening I'll be starting with according to your request. Please comment whether it is MCQs or case based scenarios of law, that is of new course. Okay, which we will be discussing from ICA booklet. Comment below. I'll be starting with that accordingly, and you will be getting those videos continuously from day after tomorrow. Hope you are clear with this point. That's all for today. Hope I have addressed all your queries and you are happy with this resolution of your queries. If you are not if your any of your doubt is not clear, please comment. I'll be addressing you separately. Okay, that's all. Thanks for watching. If you find these videos helpful, please do like, share and subscribe. And moreover, if you want to understand this video, you need to go through our previous videos. Only then you will be understanding this. Just because you will be going through this video, you won't be understanding any case study. Okay, and moreover, the law case studies and MCQs of old course are also relevant to the new course as well. So I request you to please go through it, because mostly 90% of the syllabus of old course and new course are same. So I request you to go through those case studies and MCQs as well, which were uploaded under and I created a playlist regarding those old course videos also. Go through it, and if you have any doubts, please comment below. Don't think that they are only for old course. 90% of the syllabus was common. Go through it and comment your queries. And please don't forget to comment whether it is law MCQs or law case scenarios, so that I'll be preparing for the videos from tomorrow. Okay, that's all for today. Thanks for watching.